Hey, group leaders, this is Andy. Just want to say happy Thursday. As I mentioned last week, I was wanting to do some devotions as we are doing our reading plan for the next 3 months. We're in Acts, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick up in Acts chapter 19. Paul is in Ephesus, and there's actually, it says in verse 23, about that time there arose a great disturbance about the way, and the people in Ephesus were getting really, really, really upset at Paul and his message of the gospel of Jesus and his grace, because Ephesus was really a town dedicated to the goddess Artemis, which was part of the Roman mythology. It was Zeus's daughter, the twin sister of Apollo, and so they were a town really, really devoted to Artemis. And Paul is presenting the gospel, and people are just getting really, really up in arms. And in fact, it's actually hindering their business. That their religion is actually making money for them. And it says in one of the verses, it says that Paul says that man-made gods are no gods at all. And he's pointing out in this culture that there's only one true God, that all of our man-made idols and our man-made gods are no gods at all. There's just only one God. And this really created a really great disruption in this community. In fact, got so bad, there was an assembly called, and they were shouting in unison one time, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." And people were just kind of losing their mind over what Paul was proclaiming to them. And honestly, it makes me think about my life when I get to share the gospel of Jesus with people, and you get to share the gospel with people, the grace of God. People are just not going to always respond with gladness and joy. Some will, some won't. Some it just takes longer. And so I just want to encourage us, as Paul says in chapter 20, in verse 24, "However, I consider my life worth nothing to me, if only I may finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me, the task of testifying to the gospel of God's grace." And that's honestly what our lives are about. And nothing in this world compares to being able to testify to what God has done in our lives, regardless of people's response, regardless if they scream out or they accept it well. Our responsibility is just to continue to lavish God's grace on people. It's God's job to change their lives. So I just want to remind you, if you're not part of the reading plan, please jump in with us. It's going to be awesome. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.